Hello, this video is going to walk through this template for the term project installment 2, which has a couple of purposes. One is to have you highly organized so that you can present your thoughts clearly, so you can have confidence in the work that you've done, so that we can get in and understand how you've done your work to give you feedback and for grading. And then you can take an image of this table on the first worksheet and include that in your final write-up. So in this first worksheet, the yellow is to draw your attention to places where you should read and or need to insert content. So first, when you're finished with this comment box should be deleted, and any place that is yellow should be returned to no fill after you have addressed the content and the comments there. Next, all of these little red triangles in the upper corner of the cells indicate that there is a comment in that cell, and when you hover over it, you will see the comment from me, which has both comments on what should go into there and questions for you. So if you hover over the cell, right-click and edit comment, you can come in and edit this material, and you should delete these comments from me and add annotation to any content that you have added. So this first one's very basic. Update this top cell to the name of your watershed. We want to see all of this information in your table, but your table should be modified to match what's in your the way that you've done your term project. These first two are fairly self-explanatory. This third one is the area of the watershed, and so you should fill this cell with the area of the watershed and then turn it back to no fill so that it's not yellow anymore. And then you should, in this annotated cell, edit the comment and go in and indicate what the source of that area was, what the source of the information was. And so every time you go in and put a piece of information in a cell, it either needs to be a direct calculation based on other cells in your spreadsheet, or it needs to have annotation indicating where you got the number. Down here, you should include all of your references. And so here, this might be a TMDL or a watershed plan, where you would have an area of the watershed, or perhaps you used USGS. So this is citation or reference number 1, and then that will make it easy for you in this comment on this cell to say this was a watershed area from reference number 1. This next cell calls for the load estimate from installment 1. At this point, you need to make sure that you have inserted these two worksheet templates into what you handed in and edited from installment 1. So here I have opened the template for installment 2 and that for installment 1. You can go ahead and delete the worksheet with the checklist in it from installment 1, and now we've got the clean daily data worksheet where you have your loads calculated. And so what you're going to want to do, sometimes when you copy, if you click up here in the top left, if you copy all of the material out of a worksheet, sometimes it loses the calculations. So what I would suggest that you do is insert a new worksheet into your installment 1 template and copy the material from the installment 2 template over there, as opposed to vice versa. And then you'll have to do a little bit of editing to clean that back up. But that way you won't be losing any of your calculations, because again, these need to be direct cell references. So coming back here to this load estimate cell, this is going to be a direct cell reference to your daily data that is now going to be one of the tabs down here, where you've summed your daily load that you calculated. One of the approaches that you can take is a sub-watershed. So these next 3 rows are for that. And if you're not using the sub-watershed approach, then you can delete these rows and then remove this indentation from these last 2 rows. And So this target load row has some information in here. It's got the target load ideally informed by a TMDL, but if you absolutely cannot find a TMDL for that watershed or a sub-watershed or a parallel sister watershed where you can draw information from, then simply choose an arbitrary number that is less than your load and set that as the target load and give it both in kilograms per year here and percent of the current load. Again, remember to add annotation indicating how you got those numbers, where they came from, and any citations from down here as appropriate. And then calculate the load reduction required. This last portion here are the source types or categories. And ideally, again, these come out of TMDL, and you have a number of sources that have been identified for your pollutant in that watershed. In the absence of any information about pollutant for your watershed, I've given you the easy out of having just these 3 simple source type categories, which are human in-stream, meaning eroding banks or bed, human upland sources, and natural background. So at the simplest, you can split the load among those 3 sources just so that you can do the calculations. This last section has to do with your BMP load reduction estimates, which are quantified here and should be direct cell references to the second worksheet, which I will now walk through in more detail in the second video. But to recap here, when you hand this in, you should have all of your other tabs from installment 1 over here. All of the yellow should be removed. This box up here, the text box, should be removed, and all annotation should be changed to annotation with your comments indicating how you did calculations and where you got information. Now, I want to thank you for taking your time with this to make a product that's easy for the instructors and your classmates to look at and understand what you did.